The 2026 World Cup is already producing moments that will be talked about for decades, but beyond the goals, the upsets and the drama, there's a quieter story running through this tournament, one of bloodlines, of fathers who came before and sons who are here now carrying their names on the biggest stage in sport. The generational threads woven into this tournament are genuinely extraordinary, and we've saved the most unique one for last because this isn't just a father-son story. For the first time in World Cup history, there's a mother-son duo. Stay tuned, let's start in the United States. Claudia Reyna is one of the most decorated Americans in World Cup history. 4 tournaments, 10 World Cup appearances. A genuine pillar of the States during an era when the program was still finding its feet. His son Gio arrived in 2026 carrying some of that weight and a fair bit of baggage too, after his infamous falling out with then-coach Greg Berhalter at the 2022 World Cup, a saga that spilled into headlines far beyond the football world. Gio needed this tournament badly. He got it, coming off the bench against Paraguay in the USA's opener, and 16 minutes after stepping onto the pitch, he curled in a trivela with the outside of his right foot, a 97th minute knife through the box that made it 4-1. Then he grabbed the match ball, tucked it under his shirt, and sucked his thumb. His wife Chloe is pregnant with their first child, and this was the moment he'd been waiting for to tell the world. Even Pochettino sprinted off the sideline to join the celebration. While we're talking about sons who showed up and delivered immediately, let's head to Boston, where Norway made their first World Cup appearance since 1998, and Erling Haaland made his first World Cup appearance ever. This was a moment that felt almost overdue. Alfinger Haaland was part of the 1994 Norwegian squad, earning 2 of his 34 international caps at that tournament, but never found the net in international football. His son has a slightly different record. 28 minutes into his World Cup debut, Haaland tapped in a cross from David Müller-Wolf for his first. Before half-time, he capitalized on a calamitous goalkeeping error to make it 2. Norway won 4-1 against Iraq, and Haaland finished the game having scored twice from just 20 touches. A reminder that for the world's most lethal striker, the ball barely needs to reach him. Already Norway's all-time leading scorer, he's also now among the Golden Boot favourites and very much the engine of what could be a dark horse run for the Norwegians. Staying with Norway for a second because they have another legacy connection at this tournament. Goran Sørloth featured in one match during that same 1994 World Cup without scoring. His son Alexander, now with 26 goals in 73 caps, made his World Cup debut against that same Iraq side, and while a Sørloth is yet to open their World Cup account, Alexander even had a chance set up by Haaland himself during the game. The Sørloth name is still waiting for its World Cup moment, but with Norway in contention, it may not be long coming. From the fjords to the Champs-Élysées, and one of the most fascinating storylines of the tournament, Zinedine Zidane is one of the 5 greatest midfielders who ever lived. 2 World Cup final goals, a 1998 trophy, and that 2006 headbutt on Marco Materazzi that ended his career in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. His son Luka is at this World Cup, but not for France. Luka chose to represent Algeria, the country of Zinedine's parents, qualifying through his paternal heritage after switching international allegiance in 2025. It's a deeply personal decision, he told French reporters. When I think of Algeria, I remember my grandfather. Since childhood, we've had this Algerian culture in the family. What makes his presence even more remarkable is that Luka broke his jaw and chin just weeks before the tournament, at one point putting his World Cup spot in serious doubt. He recovered, trained in a protective mask, and convinced the coaching staff to keep him. He had a bad night against Argentina, but will be hoping to bounce back and make the Zidane name proud throughout the tournament. Another cross-border family story comes courtesy of Anthony Elanga and his father Joseph. The elder Elanga was named in Cameroon's 1998 World Cup squad, but never came off the bench during the tournament. He didn't log a single minute. His son made sure the Elanga name wasn't overlooked. Anthony, who completed a £55 million summer move to Newcastle United, chose Sweden, the country he was born in and grew up in. In the group opener, Sweden demolished Tunisia 5-1. Elanga came off the bench and made his presence felt, and then in their second match, he pulled one back against a dominant Netherlands side with a blistering left foot finish that had his pace written all over it. He's scored 7 goals in 32 caps for his country, and at 24, he's clearly only getting started. France have their own legacy subplot running through this squad. Lilian Thuram is arguably the most iconic French defender of his generation. 3 World Cups, and crucially, both goals in France's famous 2-1 semi-final win over Croatia in 1998 that helped send them to the title. His son Marcus is at his second World Cup with a France squad many consider the tournament favourites. The Inter Milan forward, now 28, was a late call-up in 2022 and famously assisted Mbappe's equaliser in the final before France lost on penalties to Argentina. He's back in the squad in 2026, surrounded by perhaps the deepest pool of attacking talent France has ever assembled. Portugal are also in on the party. Sergio Conceição was part of the Portuguese squad that reached the semi-finals at the 2002 World Cup in South Korea and Japan. 12 international goals in 56 caps, though none came during the tournament. His son Francisco, now 23 and playing for Juventus after a permanent move from Porto, made his World Cup debut in Portugal's 1-1 draw with Congo DR, entering at half-time in place of Bernardo Silva and immediately threading incisive passes into a frustrated attack. It came 24 years after his father first wore the shirt at this tournament. With Portugal still hunting their maiden World Cup title, Francisco will hope his chapter has more to add. Argentina have their own waiting game. Diego Simeone made 11 World Cup appearances across 3 tournaments for La Albiceleste, one of the most combative midfielders of his era. His son Giuliano is part of the 2026 squad, but is yet to set foot on the pitch. The Simeone name has been synonymous with Argentine football for decades. For Giuliano, his moment is still waiting. Brian Gunn served as backup goalkeeper for Scotland at the 1990 World Cup in Italy, perhaps one of the most fondly remembered Scotland tournaments, even though they went out in the group stage. His son Angus is Scotland's starting number 1 in 2026 as the Tartan Army return to the tournament for the first time in years. Backup to starter, father to son. A full generational shift between those 2 World Cup appearances, and then there's the one that belongs in an entirely different conversation. When New Zealand's Tyler Bindon came off the bench in injury time during the All-Whites 2-2 draw with Iran in Los Angeles, history was quietly made. His mother, Jenny Bindon, played goalkeeper for the Football Ferns, earning 77 international caps and representing New Zealand at the 2007 and 2011 Women's World Cups, as well as the 2008 and 2012 Olympics. The moment Tyler stepped onto that pitch, they became the first ever mother-son duo to play at a FIFA World Cup. Tyler, a Nottingham Forest defender, posted on Instagram afterward, proud to represent New Zealand on the biggest stage and incredibly grateful to share the moment with my mum as the first mother-son duo to play at a World Cup. Jenny watched from the stands and told the NZ Herald it was a real full-circle moment. As a toddler, Tyler used to run around at Football Ferns training sessions while his mum kept goal. Watching her made it real, something he could touch, feel and aspire to. 21 years later, he was out there making history. In a tournament already full of extraordinary legacy moments, that one stands completely alone. Which duo is your favourite? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also be sure to turn on post notifications so that you never miss out on any new videos. Catch you in the next one. Bye.